Uncle Ron and stuff. Ivaition dehumidifier, 50 pump, 50 pint with built-in pump. Excuse me. Pump not working. Okay. On a previous YouTube, I talked about how I had to recharge the coolant, and two of the units that I have, they've been working ever since. Only one unit is hooked up to the plastic tube that goes to a sink, and there's a nipple I put on the S trap, P trap, whatever it's called, underneath the sink, and the pump has been working fine. All of a sudden, it wasn't. Collect water in the bucket. It's supposed to be pumping water out. So I anyway, the problem, and it appears to me that when it's plugged in, the pump is always sort of working. Uh, there's not a float valve or anything. It's just enough water collects into the whatever, and it pumps it out. Okay, well, the pump wasn't working. So what I found was the tube from the pump to the sink was clogged. And the best way I can describe it is it had plack. Uh, I don't know, it's not algae, but it's like plaque on the inside of the tube. It was dust. Dust that's been collected. It got into the water trough. It's been pumped out. The water had this dust in it, dirt in it. It doesn't pump. The pump is not strong enough to pump it all out, so it eventually settles on the inside of the hose, and eventually it clogs it, so the pump cannot push water out through it anymore. It's not a bad pump, it's a bad hose. Okay, so I wound up cleaning the hose out. I used a can of air on it. It was really hard to actually get this hose clean. I wound up sticking underneath of hot water and running hot water down to it. I connected it back up. I ran it again. I used a can of air. It was really hard to get that plastic tube clean enough so the pump can pump out the water. But what I'm trying to tell you is that if you have a Ivaition, I have a 50 pint dehumidifier with built-in pump, and the pump wasn't working. It wasn't the pump, it was the hose that I was using was clogged. Now it comes with a much bigger hose that you can like stick it on the ground if you wanted to. It's a big tank hose. It's to drain the tank out if you want, I guess, not the collection bucket. Anyway, cleaning that hose out is a pain in the yin yang. I've had the Ivaition for 2 years now or so. This is the first time I had to clean the hose out, but I'm aware now the hose can get clogged. So if you have a pump issue, I would look at the hose first. And you can probably buy a hose that's identical in diameter to that hose for $3, $4, $5. I don't know. It's like a type of hose that's used on refrigerators for water lines, things like that. It's a real common. I would take the old hose along and make sure you get the right diameter, and I don't know the specs tell you what the diameter of the hose is, but nonetheless, that is the problem, not the pump. And it is my impression that if you have a built-in pump, it literally pumps all the time, as long as the hose is connected. There is a switch on the pump where the hose connects on. If there's no hose, the pump doesn't run. If you connect the hose on with a little, it's got a bibbit at the bottom or whatever, that pushes the switch in and causes the pump to run like all the time. Okay. So, pump not working. I also get an error periodically. I think it says 6A. research on the internet otherwise doesn't tell me what that is, but I suspect it's something to do with the pump, but I don't know. When the bucket gets full, it shuts off, turns the light on. You're probably familiar with that. So if you have a clogged line, the pump will not be able to get the water out, and you'll have to empty the bucket. It does collect in the bucket if the pump is not, can't do its job. So anyway, it's not a throwaway. It's not the pump is bad. It's just the hose is clogged up. So don't be trashing the whole thing because the pump doesn't work and you don't want to deal with the bucket. Try to clean the hose out or just simply buy a replacement standardized plastic hose if you don't want to deal with trying to clean it out. Again, it's a pain in the yang. I didn't come up with a really good solution, but I did get it clean enough that it's working again for a while. Anyway, end of story. Uncle Ron and stuff. This is an Ivaition 50 pint. Originally, it was advertised as 70 pint. There was a change in the how these things were rated, so it's down to a 50 pint with a built-in pump. And I am using a pump on one of the two that I have. Today is the 10th of July, 2023. I hope it helps. Don't throw it away. The pump's not bad, okay?